Let's start. Let's start important current updates and news analysis. Important current updates and news analysis. Parliament, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, they are going to discuss about the constitution. They are going to debate about the constitution. Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, they are going to discuss about the constitution, debate about the constitution. On the occasion of 75th anniversary of Constitution Adoption Day. Have you seen on 26th November, we have celebrated 75th anniversary of Constitution Adoption Day. As we are in the 75th year of Constitution adoption, the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, they are going to discuss on Constitution. They are going to debate on Constitution. They are going to also have a in-depth analytical viewpoint of the relevance of the Constitution and need for various changes in the Constitution. In a breakthrough to end the logjam that had paralyzed the winter session of Parliament, the government and the opposition reached a consensus on holding discussion on Constitution in both the houses. So, government and opposition agreed to hold the discussion on the Constitution in both the houses. The Lok Sabha will hold the discussion on December 13th and 14th, and Rajya Sabha will have a discussion on December 16th and 17th on the Constitution. On the Constitution. And there are many issues that are being discussed in the Parliament from last 2 days. One is about Bangladesh situation. You all know that Hindus are being attacked in Bangladesh. And yesterday, protesters entered into Tripura capital Agartala's diplomatic mission and causing insecurity and breach of security in diplomatic mission in Tripura, Agartala. So, the entire situation in Bangladesh is being discussed. And also, one more important issue, the violence in Sambhal. Sambhal is in Uttar Pradesh. The violence in Sambhal with respect to that mosque and whether there is a temple and whether the mosque is built on the ruins of the temple. So this is an issue that is going on in Parliament, and the Parliament is going to discuss and debate on the Constitution, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Both the houses are going to discuss and debate on the Constitution. And the other issues, if you see, in the Hindu paper today, there is a mention 0 hour. 0 hour. 0 hour starts at 12 o'clock. As it starts at 12 o'clock, it's called 0 hour. Okay, 0 hour is an Indian innovation. 0 hour is an Indian innovation. It is mentioned that MPs can raise questions in 0 hour. Even to ask question in 0 hour, you need to take permission beforehand. It is not like as and when you can stand up and suddenly ask a question. You can take prior permission before asking the question. You have to write what question you are going to ask and submit it to the officer before the session. That means before that particular day's session, particular day, you need to mention. It's not that 0 hour you can suddenly stand up and ask. 0 hour you can ask any question. That is free. You can ask any question. It starts at 12 o'clock. It's an Indian innovation. It's all right. But still, don't think that we can disturb the 0 hour by raising all the questions all the time. So, even for 0 hour, there is a structure and formality. Coming to the other interesting news coming up. Manufacturing sector growth slips to 11-month low. In India, manufacturing sector is now in the downside. The growth is very slow. The growth is not promising. The manufacturing sector growth is not promising. The growth is very slow and the growth is not promising. So that is coming up. The manufacturing sector growth is not promising today in India. Okay. So we need to understand, we have seen GDP growth coming down. GDP growth coming down in India, just 5.4%. GDP growth coming down just 5.4%, and manufacturing sector growth also coming down. Private sector industrial activity appears to be on relatively weak, even in the third quarter of 2024-2025. So private sector industrial activity is weak. Private sector industrial activity is very weak. So this is the story. New business orders and production levels, okay, they're coming up, but they're not up to the mark. They're coming up, but they're not up to the mark. The next interesting question is, next important and interesting thing is, Russian President Vladimir Putin, he is coming to India early next year to attend India-Russia annual summit. Russian President Putin is coming to attend India-Russia annual summit. Okay, every year we conduct annual summit. And this year Modi ji went to Russia, and next year, early in the year, he is coming to India. So Putin is coming to India after almost 3 years, 4 years. Even after the beginning of Russia-Ukraine war, he has not come to India. In a sign of closer engagement between India and Russia, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has invited Russian President Putin to India for a summit early next year. The dates are yet to be decided. The dates are not finalized. The dates are yet to be decided. For Mr. Putin's first visit to India since Russian invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. That means after the beginning of Russia-Ukraine war, this is Putin's first visit to India. So that's very, very important and significant also. So significantly, he would attend annual summit with Modi during the visit, which means the 23rd summit would be held. 23rd summit. So previous summit, July 2024. 22nd India-Russia summit, and it was held at Moscow. Now 23rd summit, Putin is coming to India. 23rd India-Russia summit is going to happen in the early months of year 2025. So India-Russia summit. 23rd India-Russia summit. Okay, if you see today's page number 10 of Hindu, there's a concept called Pragati. Pragati, P-R-A-G-A-T-I, Pragati. What is this Pragati all about? Look at me. Modi ji, after becoming the Prime Minister, he became Prime Minister in 2014. After becoming the Prime Minister, he wanted to assess the progress of country's schemes and programs at the state level and at the central level. At the state level and also at the central level. So a program was designed called Pragati, P-R-A-G-A-T-I. Okay, what is Pragati? Proactive governance and timely implementation. Pragati is proactive governance and timely implementation of projects. This Pragati concept you should also mention in good governance. You should mention in governance. You should also mention in virtual governance, where PMO and important secretaries in various ministries at the central government, and also the state chief secretaries and other important secretaries will participate in the virtual mode, and they will discuss the phase-wise success of the project. They will assess the programs and schemes, to what extent up to what level each scheme was completed, each project was completed. So this Pragati, Oxford study Lord's Pragati system for fast tracking projects. So in order to run the government projects very fast, there should be timely assessment of the project. Right? Unless we have a timely assessment of the project, we cannot say how far it was completed and the results of it. So government started in 2015 a program called Pragati, proactive governance and timely implementation. Here, there is a very beautiful word called bureaucratic inertia. What is bureaucratic inertia? What is inertia? Unless we apply some force, things will not move. Okay, unless we apply some force, things will not move. Pragati will act like a force multiplier. Pragati will act like an amplifier. Pragati will act like an accelerator to force the bureaucracy to come out of slumbering mode, to come out of inertia, to come out of sleep. So, Pragati will help the bureaucracy to come out of inertia. Inertia means they were in the slumbering mode, slow mode. We apply some force, give the target, then the project will be completed. The Oxford study says that Pragati system symbolizes India's commitment to overcoming bureaucratic inertia. Overcoming bureaucratic inertia. A study of Oxford University said business school has lauded Prime Minister Modi's Pragati infrastructure monitoring system for accelerating 340 projects worth $205 billion across the country and bringing about economic transformation. The study titled From Gridlock to Growth, How Leadership Enables India's Pragati Ecosystem to Power Progress was authored by Soumitra Datta, Dean of SBS, and co-authored by Mukul Pandya. It was presented at a symposium hosted by the IIM Bangalore on Monday. So, it's a very important topic. It's a very important topic, and they have also given that with implementation of proper infrastructural program, proper spending on some amount of GDP on infrastructure and other projects, timely completion of project is very, very important for GDP growth. Timely completion of project is very, very important for GDP growth. If you can complete the project timely, automatically infrastructure support will be there for various economic activities. Automatically GDP will grow. So this is all about Pragati. It's very important in GS2 and GS4 and also essay writing. And also it can add value to your interview preparation. What is Pragati? Proactive governance and timely implementation. Coming back, Bangladesh halts power purchase from Adani Power amid dispute. Bangladesh halved means made it into half. The power it buys from Adani Power, citing lower winter demand. Government officials told Reuters, and disagreements over dues running into hundreds of millions of dollars. So, in the simple sense, Bangladesh government reduced power purchase from Adani Power. Bangladesh government reduced power purchase from Adani Power, saying that in winter we have less demand for power. In winter we have less demand for power. Adani has been supplying power under 25 years contract signed in 2017 under Sheikh Hasina's rule from a $2 billion power plant, $2 billion power plant in India's eastern state of Jharkhand that has 2 units, each with capacity of about 800 megawatts. So this is the thing. Adani had a power pact with Bangladesh government in 2017. The power agreement is for 25 years. 25 years. So this is a very big issue. Bangladesh complains that Adani charges highest rate of all Indian supplies to Bangladesh. Adani charges highest rate. Adani charges highest rate for power. That's also very important. Next. Coming to other important news. Private entertainment sector also requires inclusivity initiatives. So today is December 3rd. December 3rd is International Day for Persons with Disabilities. Today, December 3rd, is an International Day for Persons with Disabilities. Not only government sector, but also private sector. Particularly private entertainment field also requires inclusivity initiatives. I'll ask a question. Kindly think of it. Can a differently abled person board a bus properly without any help in India? RTC bus? A person like me, can she or he board a bus without any help? No. Can she or he go to ATM without anyone's help? No. Can she or he access any big government building without much help? No. We have a program called Sugamya Bharat Abhiyan, Accessible India campaign, where railway stations, ports, airports, bus stations, government buildings should be disabled friendly. Okay, in spite of all these things, our place is not supportive to differently abled people. In fact, don't imagine a person like me who can afford things. Imagine a person like a rural woman with multiple disabilities who doesn't have any affordable capacity to hire a car, to rent a car, to get some employment. So, can you expect her some inclusivity? Can you expect her inclusivity in private sector entertainment? Leave alone rest other things. Can you even imagine entertainment sectors inclusivity? No. No. See, it's a time to celebrate diversity. It's a time to celebrate diversity. Even for a man or a woman, all 5 fingers will never be same. Right? How can you expect all human beings will have same requirements? In the era of artificial intelligence, in the era of robotics, the concept of disability itself is irrelevant. There's no requirement for a human being. There's no requirement for a human being to run very fast because we need not work. Some AI tool will work for us. Some robot will work for us, will not work. Some AI tool will work for us. Some robots will work for us. Right? So, who is able and who is disabled? Just think over it. In India, we have an act called Persons with Disabilities Act 2016. In that act, there were 21 types of disabilities, including intellectual disabilities, learning disabilities, are also forming part of disabilities. Okay, but the thing is, differently abled people doesn't require empathy, doesn't require sympathy from the society, but they require some type of solidarity and congenial atmosphere where they can live the life freely and without any barriers. That's the only thing required. Okay, so your homework is by tomorrow, make an essay on a topic. By tomorrow, please write an essay. Take down the heading of the essay. Start quotations. First of all, who said this? Shakespeare. Shakespeare said, start quotations. In nature, there is no blemish, B-L-E-M-I-S-H. In nature, there is no blemish but the mind. But the mind. In nature, there is no blemish but the mind, comma, none can be called deformed. None can be called deformed but the unkind. In nature, there is no blemish but the mind. None can be called deformed but the unkind. See, in nature, there is no dark spot in human life, but the people who doesn't have good heart, kind heart, they are really different, disabled. Not the people who doesn't have hands or legs. Only unkind people are truly disabled people. In nature, there is no blemish but the mind. None can be called deformed but the unkind. Okay, explain the relevance of the statement and explain the relevance of the statement and also discuss the political, social, political, economic, cultural barriers faced by the social, political, economic, cultural barriers faced by the differently abled community, in the Indian context. In the Indian context. Make a small essay on this. Okay, and I wish to tell you this year's theme is amplifying leadership in persons with disabilities. Amplifying leadership in persons with disabilities and building inclusive and sustainable future. Building an inclusive and sustainable future. Okay, so prepare an answer. I wish to see your answer by tomorrow on this. Even if you write essay, I'll be very happy on what is disability, what are the kinds of disabilities, how the other countries will treat the persons with disabilities. Okay, and what is Yogya Karta Declaration on Disabilities? Yogya Karta. Okay, so is there any, for example, what is Marrakesh Treaty on Visually Impaired People? Marrakesh Treaty. Marrakesh Treaty on Visually Impaired People. All these things you need to mention and let me know by tomorrow. What are the solutions you want to bring out to better the life of differently able in India? What are the solutions you suggest to better the life of differently able people in India? Okay, coming back. If you see the interesting news today, protesters enter Bangladesh mission in Agartala. Protesters entered Bangladesh mission in Agartala. Yes, protesters entered. It's a very sensitive issue. Very, very sensitive issue. Coming back, today, the entire Hindu paper, lead article and 2 articles exclusively, 3 articles in Hindu. 3 articles in Hindu, exclusively the articles are mentioning about different labeled community. If you observe, the entire articles are speaking about differently abled communities. So I'm very happy to see this news because they were the most vulnerable people in India. Most vulnerable. No person, no voice to represent them. At least newspapers on this day should speak about them, their challenges, their rights. If you see Hindu paper editorial today, citizens with disabilities making their rights real. Citizens with disabilities making their rights real. A focus on International Day of Persons with Disabilities. The data from 2011 census of India indicate that persons with disabilities constitute 2.21% of total population. You can use this in your answer also. Persons with disabilities constitute 2.21% of total population. This is grossly underestimated figure. According to 2019 Brief Disability Model Survey conducted by World Health Organization across India, Tajikistan, Laos, the prevalence of severe disability among Indian adults is 16%. India ratified UN Convention on Rights of Persons with Disabilities on October 1st, 2007. India also ratified UN Convention on Rights of Persons with Disabilities on October 1st, 2007. And one of the immediate measures expected out of the state parties to the convention is to ensure alignment of the national disability legislation in line with the principles of convention. So accordingly, Parliament passed 2016 Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act, and the act came into force. And the role of State Commissioner. One of the unique points of Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act in comparison to many disability legislations of the developing countries, is a provision for constitution of the office of state commissioners for disabilities at the state level with a combination of review, monitoring and quasi-judicial functions. So there will be a office of commissioner for persons with disabilities. So at least you should know all these things. Office of Commissioner of Persons with Disabilities. Despite of all these legislations, I can tell you one thing. Uh, See, if somebody criticizes or if somebody demeans any person based on caste, that's an offense. The first discrimination which the disabled people face socially is social discrimination. From the childhood, they will face that. If somebody demeans them by calling them as disabled, it should be like government should take it seriously as an offense. But in spite of many persons, including government officials, committing the same offense, the Office of Persons with Disabilities, the Chief Commissioner, Office of Persons with Disabilities, is almost taking no action, almost defunct. Is not at all taking a call on the public issues which are affecting the differently abled. Not only one or two issues, I have seen n number of issues were taken up to that level, but there is no much response from that organization. There's a serious lapse in the system. Okay, you just read the article 2-3 times, and why we need to have an inclusive society. Disabilities doesn't mean government should not consider that if we increase pension to disabled people, then they can live decently. If they consider disabled people as just pension receivers, that's completely a wrong thing. That is completely detestable thing. If they consider old people, widows, differently abled as just receivers of pension, that's not right. They are the part of the society and they need to build an inclusive society. The need of the hour is, the most important term is inclusivity, inclusiveness, inclusivity and sustainable future for them, and nurturing leadership skills in them. That's very important. Unless all sections of the population come into the mainstream, it's very difficult to go up. So based on these articles, prepare an essay, including their nutrition, their health, their hygiene, and also their inclusivity in various fields, including private sector, and what is Paralympics? That's also very important. Paralympics and other things. All these things are very important. You need to work it on. So coming back. No voter must be turned down. Page number 8 of today's Hindu. No voter must be turned down. Supreme Court tells Election Commission over increased voter limit. Okay. Hearing a petition challenging the poll body's decision to enhance maximum number of voters per polling station from 1200 to 1500, Chief Justice of India Sanjeev Khanna told that Election Commission no voter should be turned down. The petition said that move leads to disenfranchisement among teeming millions, especially the underprivileged for whom the constitution works. So no voter should be turned down. Every voter have the basic right to vote. In any case, in any situation, voter should not be turned down. That's a very interesting and important news. Voter should not be turned down. So, if you consider, don't just confine reading to a newspaper, one newspaper. You should also get updates every day. For example, how do I collect my updates? I always regularly update news. For every 1 or 2 hours, I'll be reading news. For every 1 or 2 hours, I'll be reading news. I'll be telling some interesting and important things for you. Every 1 hour, I'll search latest news. For every 1 hour, I'll search latest news, and I'll keep on finding latest news which are important for competitive exams. I'll tell you how I do. For example, recently I have seen, yesterday I have seen a news. Yesterday I have seen a news. The Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation announced the government's decision to update the base year for calculating India's GDP from 2011 2012 to 2023 22 23. So the base year for calculating India's GDP was shifted from 2011-12 to 2022-2023. 2011-12 to 2022-2023. So who has announced this? Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. So why the base year should be regularly updated, should be regularly changed? Why base year should be, base year is very, very important. See, the inflation levels, the consumption patterns, the economic activities, and the industrial contributions in 2011-12 period is different from 2020 to 2023. If you still calculate our GDP based on the base year of 2011-12, it gives a wrong data, outdated data. So, based on present inflation levels and present calculation should be changed. The base year is a benchmark for calculating GDP to eliminate the effects of inflation, allowing for a comparison of economic growth over time. Updating the base year is crucial. Updating the base year is crucial because it ensures the GDP data should reflect the ground realities of economic activities, consumption pattern, and industrial contributions. So our GDP base year is going to be shifted from 2011-12 to 2022-2023. So such news you need to collect immediately. Such news you need to take up immediately. Similarly, India's packaged drinking water is high risk food. Food Safety and Standards Authority of India. See, we always feel to purchase water bottles, drinking water bottles. But FSSAI is telling that this packaged drinking water is high risk. India's Food Regulatory Authority, FSSAI. What is FSSAI? Food Safety and Standards Authority of India has put packaged drinking water and mineral water in the type of high risk food, high risk food category. FSSAI, Food Safety and Standards Authority, to label packaged drinking water and mineral water as high risk food. It doesn't mean that these foods are unsafe. Instead, it ensures stricter safety checks. High risk food does not mean that foods are unsafe. It means we have to go with stricter safety checks. Very stricter safety checks. Manufacturers and businesses will now have to go through regular inspections and yearly audits. So those who manufacture bottled water, packaged drinking water, they have to go for regular audits, quality check and safety checks. Quality and safety checks. So, can you explain what are the various varieties of high risk foods? Various types of high risk foods. Example: dairy products, egg related products, Indian sweets related to milk, egg, sweets, etc. Food products intended for particular nutrition use. Meat products including poultry. All these things comes under high risk foods. All these things comes under high risk food. And next interesting news I have come across is the National Tiger Conservation Authority, NTCA. The National Tiger Conservation Authority, NTCA, has approved Madhav National Park in Shivpuri, Madhya Pradesh as a tiger reserve. So this is the 8th tiger reserve in Madhya Pradesh. Madhav National Park right now have become a tiger reserve also. This is the 8th tiger reserve in Madhya Pradesh. Okay, Madhav National Park have only 3 tigers, 1 male and 2 females. 1 male and 2 females. but they wanted to protect wildlife and also ecotourism. They want to protect wildlife and ecotourism. This is an interesting news how come up. So I want to tell you that this is very, very important. And you should also read about Ratapani Sanctuary in Madhya Pradesh. Ratapani Sanctuary. This is also interesting news. So 40 years of Bhopal gas tragedy. You all know on December 2nd, 3rd, 1984, methyl isocyanide, a gas was leaked from Union Carbide factory in Bhopal. This is also called as Bhopal gas tragedy. Hundreds died and lakhs of the people got affected by that gas tragedy. Today marks 40th anniversary of Bhopal gas tragedy. This is very, very pathetic that even today many people are facing the consequences of Bhopal gas tragedy. Next, India's BrahMos missile impresses many countries. After Philippines, you can see many other countries now are queuing up to purchase BrahMos. Initially, BrahMos was manufactured with the support of Russia, India and Russia, Brahmaputra and Moscow. Philippines got impressed by our BrahMos and Philippines purchased our BrahMos. Now UAE, Indonesia and Vietnam, they are showing interest to purchase the missile, BrahMos missile, UAE, Indonesia and Vietnam. India has already supplied the BrahMos missile to Philippines. India has already supplied the BrahMos missile to Philippines. So that is also very interesting and important news. And CINBAX, CINBAX, the Indian Army and Cambodian Army joint tabletop exercise, CINBAX, Cambodia and India, joint tabletop exercise, CINBAX. So whenever there is a joint exercise, military, army or air force exercise, you need to note it down. Okay. Next interesting news, Rajasthan cabinet approves anti-conversion bill. So Rajasthan is now prohibiting forced conversions. The Rajasthan cabinet 2 days back approved anti-conversion bill, which aims to curb forced religious conversions. The anti-conversion bill aims to curb forced religious conversions. The bill will now be presented in the state legislature during the upcoming session. Okay. The proposed bill laid down severe, stringent penalties for forced conversions, including imprisonment up to 10 years. Very strong punishments on forced conversions, including imprisonment up to 10 years. Additionally, the bill also mandates that individuals who wish to convert to other religion voluntarily must notify the district collector at least 60 days in advance. If you want to convert to other religion, you should notify to the district collector at least 60 days in advance. Otherwise, your conversion will not be valid. So, the bill seeks to regulate conversions. On the one side, genuine and voluntary conversions will be allowed. On the other side, forced conversions will be discouraged. Particularly to protect the rights of people under Article 25 and 26, and also balance Article 25 and 26 with the illegality with respect to conversions. So all these things are the trending news from the last few days. And the other trending news is Bal Vivah Mukt Bharat, child marriage free India. So the campaign started. The primary agenda of this campaign is to make India a child marriage free nation. Bal Vivah Mukt Bharat. The primary agenda of this campaign, Bal Vivah Mukt Bharat, child marriage free India campaign, aims to reduce child marriage rates below 5% by 2029. So the target is in the next 5 years we have to reduce the child marriages below 5% out of all marriages. Government has identified 130 districts where this campaign will have to run in a focused manner. Means highest prevalence of child marriage districts. Government identified 130 districts and they are running more focused campaign in this 130 districts. Bal Vivah Mukt Bharat campaign is not just a small event for 1 week or 10 days. It is a continuous campaign till we make India from the evil of child marriage mukt or bal vivah mukt. Till we end this bal vivah, this campaign will keep on running. This initiative will be spearheaded by Ministry of Women and Child Development. Ministry of Women and Child Development. So these things. That's how we need to prepare, we need to run the current affairs, we need to understand the current affairs. Every day, I will keep on reading current affairs. Whatever best I can do, I'll bring those current affairs which are important for the exam. For example, when you are writing about child marriages, recently Government of India launched a campaign, Bal Vivah Mukt Bharat, and the campaign was spearheaded by the Ministry of Women and Child Development, and it is majorly focusing on 130 districts in India. It wanted to reduce child marriage below 5% by 2029. So easily we can write the answers, right? If you have that stuff, if you have that content, if you have those ideas, easily you can run all these answers properly. So I'll keep on explaining what is important. Okay, then thank you. We'll stop here this current affairs. We'll stop here. So now, this is the book. It's an NCRT book. This will come to you online. మీరు ఎంత చదువుతారో అంత బుక్ ఎంత చదువుతారో బుక్ అంత చదవండి. Whatever best is possible, you do that.